Hey everyone, David here, bringing you guys another toy review, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime.
No. Can't find what you're looking for. BigBadToyStore.com. It's big, it's bad, it's a toy store. But more importantly, it has it all. From Transformer and Star Trek figures to Dark Knight collectibles and G.I. Joes. It has everything, complete with great customer service. It is the one stop to shop. BigBadToyStore.com. It's big, it's bad, it has it all. Click the link below and visit now.
Prime is once again a Cybertronian truck. However, this time they went along and redesigned them to make them look a little more beefier, a little more robust. Now I gotta say that I really like the design of the figure. The problem, however, is that once again it's too small. I mean, it feels, in terms of width, as you can see right there, the width of the figure is pretty big. It's pretty wide. However, in terms of length, it feels like he's cut off right here. I'm not gonna say that he's incomplete like Shockwave. This figure feels complete, no doubt about that. But it feels like the design was cut off right here, off of the back portion of the truck. For comparison, here we have War for Cybertron Prime, and as you can see, there is a more than significant difference. Again, like I said, they went ahead and redesigned the entire design of Optimus to make him look a little more robust, whereas his previous iteration, he looked a little more slick and aerodynamic, and he looked a little bit more like a Batmobile. I know I reference my figures an awful lot to Batmobiles, but I don't know. It's just, I guess I have a fetish for Batmobiles. I should probably get a Batmobile figure already. But like I said, I do like the overall redesign of the figure. However, he's just too small. In terms of width, he's fine. But in terms of length, as you can see, he gets, let me go ahead and put him in the front. He's cut off over here in the back. I just really don't appreciate the downsizing of these figures because, I don't know, it's like Hasbro taking a step back. Color scheme wise, I want to say he's the same, red and blue with hints of gray. However, it looks like the colors on Fall of Cybertron Prime were a little more saturated, whereas the color scheme on War for Cybertron Prime is a little dimmer. I don't know if it's coming across well on camera, but his color scheme is a little more opaque. It also glistens a lot more, whereas this is a more solid red. A more solid red, as well as more solid blue and a lighter gray. But overall, the color scheme is the same. The design concept is the same. He's supposed to come off as a Cybertronian truck, but again, too small. Width is fine, but the length, it feels like it got cut off. He also sports the same gun over here at the top like he did in his previous mode. And much like the previous figure, he rolls around pretty nicely due to these nicely designed wheels. I really like the wheels. I like the size of them because it looks proportionate to the figure itself, as well as the overall look of them. I like them. As well as the smokestacks and the Autobot decals here on the sides. I really like the paint job on them. And I like the way they reflect. So overall, I really dig the truck mode. I just wish it was bigger. Let's go ahead and take this guy out of the way so we can get to the transformation. Transformation is fairly simple. It's much like a Shockwave, where it's simple yet kind of fun. First thing you want to do is, of course, remove the gun. Let's go ahead and take this guy out of the way. Peg is the peg for this gun. The two pegs that it has, they fit in really snug and tight into the holes that he's designed with, whether it be the holes up here in his truck mode or the holes in his hands during his robot mode. And I really like the firmability, if you will, of these pegs. So that's cool. Set the gun to the side. And first thing you want to do is go ahead and detach the back half from the front half, like so. And just flip it forwards. Go ahead and take the two pieces here and separate them to form the legs. Take the bottom half of the leg and rotate it forwards, like this. Same thing on this side. And take the feet and fold them down. And this isn't, in my opinion, this isn't totally necessary, but Transformation says that you should do so, so I guess I might as well do it for the sake of it. In here, you got that, let me see if we can show it. Got that tab right there. Basically, you have to take the entire piece and fold it up until it clips into place, like that. I don't know if it's going in. There you go. Like that. And that's how his foot is supposed to be. In my opinion, I don't think you have to do it, but, you know, for the sake of the transformation, I'm doing it. So I do the same thing on this side. Take it and just press it all the way up until it pops into place. Like that. And then we have the legs. And you know what time it is, kids. It's time to rotate the camera up. Alright, so next you're gonna take these two gray pieces and detach them from one another like this. And also detach them from the red piece here. Pop it off like that. Rotate it downwards like this. And then push it inwards to kind of get it out of the way. It doesn't fit into place, but it's just how it came packaged. Because the figure came packaged in his robot mode. And that's how these pieces were. So, just gonna leave it like that. Do the same thing on this side. Take it, rotate it, push it in, like that. And then I'm going to take these pieces and detach them from the main body, like so. They're attached via a tab inside there. And now, you take this piece and rotate it all the way around, like this. And then you take it and rotate it forwards to extend it and form the arm, like that. The same thing on this side. Take this, rotate it all the way around. And then rotate it forwards to extend it and form the arm. Like so. And then take the hands and rotate them so that they're facing the right way. Did I just say rotate them with an accent? I think I did. Yeah, every now and then my accent comes out. I'm Mexican, so yep. The same thing on the other side. And then here comes the cool part. Flip the figure, and in here there's a gray piece. I don't know. I mean, the transformation. I didn't read the instructions. Whenever it comes with when it comes to a transformer figure, if I can do it on my own, I transform a figure on my own. This is how I like to do it. Basically, you take this gray piece, push it in, and when you do, a couple of things are gonna happen. One, his head pops up, like so, and his arms flip upwards. And it's like Prime is ready to do a freeze frame in the middle of the air to 80s music. And the reason for this is because his arms and his head are connected via a gray piece that runs through the top of his upper torso. So because of that, everything's going to move. It's almost like a Mecha Live gimmick from the Dark of the Moon figures. So now, keeping that piece on top so that his head is visible, I'm going to take the arms and rotate them by the upper arm joint here instead of the full rod that runs across his upper torso. And now we take this red tab, rotate it down, and pop it into place. Like that. And that'll keep the gray piece that is attached to both the arms and the head from moving any further. And there we have Optimus Prime. Let's just get him situated. Alright. There's Optimus Prime. And I will say that I like him a little better than Shockwave, but he still has some problems. Now, the best way that I can describe this figure is that it's a really good, rather oversized Legends figure, in which, you know how the Legends figures, they're about maybe that big, but they're, you know, they're really intricate, they're really nice little figures. This is a really, really good Legends figure, but this is a very poor, actually not even, I'm not going to say very poor, because actually I do like this figure even more than Shockwave. But it's a subpar deluxe figure because, again, too small. I don't know what's up with Hasbro, but during this line, they done goofed. And they done goofed in the way that they made the figures small. And like I said in my Shockwave review, it feels like 2007 all over again when they reduced the size of the Spider-Man 3 figures. However, he does not feel incomplete. He doesn't feel half-assed like Shockwave did. Shockwave, you know, especially in the legs, he felt like, you know, he had missing parts. Whereas Optimus, he looks a little bit better constructed. The bottom half, you know, his legs, they feel durable. They feel very, very firm. Like more thought were put into them. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of the feet. They look like panels more than actual feet, but I can forgive it for that. I mean, that's a little bit nitpicky at this point. But the legs, you know, they feel nice. They feel durable, and it feels like you can have some fair balance when it comes to posability. The top, however, he just feels like a Legends figure. It doesn't feel like a bad figure or a bad constructed figure nonetheless, but it just feels like this mold was designed more for a Legends figure. Especially here in the arms, where you can tell that that's how he's supposed to fold up in order to begin the transformation. It's a decent representation of his robot mode from the game. I saw pictures. Like I said, I haven't actually played the game just yet, but I did look at the pictures, and this is a decent representation. I just wish that they could have made him bigger, and maybe if they had made him bigger, they would have put some more detail on the top half of this figure, and it would have looked a little more intricate and just a better figure overall. For comparison, here we have War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Optimus Prime, and obviously, if you couldn't already tell, he's way bigger, he's way beefier, and he actually looks like the Deluxe Class figure. He's hefty, like I mentioned with Darkmount. He's a more satisfying figure. He's a figure that gives you more bang for your buck. Whereas this guy, I like the changes that they made with the design. I like how the smokestacks are over here on the top of the shoulders. I like that they kept the Autobot decals on his shoulders as well, and they look a little bit better here because over here they're red, whereas over here they're silver. But I also like they kept the consistency of having the windows and the grill as his pectorals and abs, which is the trademark design for Optimus Prime ever since G1. He just looks a little more fully realized here in the War for Cybertron figure than in Fall of Cybertron. Let's get this guy out of the way so we can talk about him a little bit more. Articulation wise, he's once again pretty basic. You got rotation over here in the upper shoulder. You can move in left and right. He can pose like this so that you can kind of get the smokestacks out of the way on this top area so that you can then move his head all about. Because when he's like this, it's kind of tough to get in here with your two fingers and rotate the head. But because of the design, he looks like a stiff. When you put his arms like this, I mean, whenever it comes to Optimus Prime, you always want to pose him with his arms out, ready for battle. But when he does that, it looks like he just has two slanted arms, two little sticks as arms, at an angle. Whereas if you want to position him like this, he just looks stiff because of the design of his arms. And once again, this looks more like a Legends class figure more than a deluxe. But anyways, his articulation is pretty basic. He can move in and out at the top of the arm, as well as rotate a full 360 degrees via a ball joint. He can bend at the elbow, and he can actually bend pretty far, but of course that's due to the transformation. Full rotation in the hands, like I demonstrated during the transformation, and on top of it all, fully realized hands. Now, granted, it's still that iffy design of just etching in a hole so that he can hold in his weapon. However, unlike Shockwave, they don't look like flimsy pieces of plastic that had fingers, quote unquote, fingers etched in. This actually looks like an actual fist. Let's see if I could get a close up there. It looks like an actual fist. So I do like that. That is a significant improvement over the Shockwave figure. So that's cool. He does have waist articulation, however, because of the transformation, he does have this joint that is pretty loose, so a simple little touch and he can already start breaking at the waist there. He's got an upper leg ball joint that allows his leg to move back and forth thusly. He's got a top thigh swivel that allows him to rotate right there. He bends at the knee, however, the joint for the knee is a little weird because usually you expect the knee joint to be right there, but instead that's just a piece of plastic. His actual joint is a little down below where that screw is, so it's a little off-putting for his joint to be a little lower than it usually is. And he also has a ball joint at the foot, so he's able to pivot his foot up and down like so, as well as rotate it a full 360 degrees, although I don't know what exactly is the use for that, as well as pivot side to side barely. It's a little more limited moving it from side to side than moving it up and down, but it does make for some decent poses. And like I mentioned before, you can rotate the head 360 degrees, however, the joint is pretty stiff, and like I said, trying to get your fingers in there without moving the arms is a little bit tricky, so you're kind of forced to push the arms inward so that you don't interfere with these smokestacks. And it does move up very far, like so, but moving it down causes to push pressure on that piece that connects to the shoulders, and that's when your arms start to move. And of course you can't get any further because of the lock on this piece. So he's got a lot of movement when it comes to tipping his head upwards like that, so you can put him in like some form of Superman pose. I guess, kinda. It's a little bit hindered to be able to pose him that way. Oh, wait, there you go. Alright, so you can pose him as Superman. I mean, he's already got the red and blue going for him, so there you go. Super Prime. That actually looks pretty. That actually looks pretty cool. Somebody freeze frame that and make a GIF out of it, or make some form of meme. So he does have mobility in his head to be able to tilt all the way up, but tilting him forwards, it's a little more limited. And while we're on the subject of his head, I do feel, and this is not so much the figure's fault as it is just the overall design of Prime in this game, is that I just feel like his head is a little too small for the bulkiness that is his arms and his torso here. I guess you could argue that a similar thing could be said about his iteration in War for Cybertron, but I just feel like it's a little more apparent in this form rather than in his War for Cybertron counterpart. But that's just me. He comes with his iconic ion cannon, but this time around it's more of a black piece of plastic that can go in either one of his hands, and it comes with 2 pegs, so you're able to position him either in this way or this way. That's mainly about it. I mean, the go-to way to position him with his gun is obviously this way, because this triangular piece has always been facing up when it comes to his ion cannon. And like I said, it could go in either one of his hands. What feels like a little bit of a letdown is that in his previous iteration, he had the same ion cannon, except this guy was able to transform. All you gotta do is take this tab here, flip it back, and boom, it transforms. And I thought that was really awesome, whereas this is just a piece of plastic. I mean, it looks cool. It's something to make him look cool while posing him, but when you follow this up with this, you know, it's a bit of a letdown. But I guess I can't complain, because Transformers are always given weapons that don't exactly do much. I mean, some don't even shoot. They're just there to look cool. So I can't be too naggy about that. Overall, I do like this guy more than Shockwave, and it's Optimus Prime. I mean, you can't hate Optimus Prime. But once again, I do feel like this is a really, really good Legends class figure, but not necessarily a great or even good Deluxe class figure, because of the fact that it's just too small, and he just feels, I don't want to say underdeveloped, because then that makes it feel like this is unfinished, and I don't feel like this figure is terribly unfinished. There just could have been a lot more potential to make a hefty looking, a much better Deluxe class figure, much like his War for Cybertron counterpart, instead of this. Frankly, however, this is still a good figure. I like the transformation. I like the change in design for Optimus. It's still the Optimus that we know and love. And, you know, he has some decency when it comes to articulation, when it comes to his truck mode, because it feels like a good figure. It's just too small. I give Transformers Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime a 7.9 out of 10, which is a C+. For this figure, as well as anything else Transformers and anything else figure related, be sure to check out BigBadToyStore.com. They got this guy, as well as Shockwave, as well as Autobot Jazz from the Fall of Cybertron line, as well as new figures from the Generations line. BigBadToyStore.com, it's big, it's bad, it has it all. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.